The internet likes crazy. This statement is so true when it comes to characters in video games, especially in fighters. There is something about their unpredictable behavior and over-the-top attitude that makes them interesting and entertaining. But the common trait between all of them is that they are unique and quite rare. So the most obvious question that you may ask is there enough deranged fighters in KOF to make a whole list? The answer is no. Sorry to disappoint you, but that's why I'm also including characters who are seen as weird or strange, either because of their design or just have some unorthodox quirks. So in short, this list contains figures who are undoubtedly nuts and others who are just odd. But there are also those lucky ones who won the lottery and have a share from both worlds. Without further ado, here's the top 10 crazy/weird characters in the King of Fighters series. Starting this list with a somewhat controversial entry, Wajai, the other Muay Thai practitioner of the series beside Joe and King, can be hardly considered as crazy. But there are some elements surrounding this character that can easily make us wonder if he's totally right in the head. Wajai is Joe's friend and rival, but that wasn't always the case. He used to be the Muay Thai champion until he was defeated by the aforementioned rival and kicked out from the martial art world due to his excessive violence. After working for Geese as a thug and defeated again by Joe, Wajai abandoned his wicked ways and started a new life as an honorable and friendly rival. However, his brutal nature still shows when he fights. One of his unique features is the strange beverage that he drinks during matches, which significantly boosts his strength and speed. It also doesn't help that he starts looking like an enraged drunkard, even though the said drink doesn't contain any alcohol, contrary of what most people think. Wajai is not mad per se, but his cruel and violent nature, coupled with his unique unorthodox mannerism when he fights, especially after taking his power drink, make him look like a lunatic and one of the most insane Muay Thai fighters in video games. I know what you think. Of course Orochi Iori should be on this list. After all, he is called Crazy Iori by many players. But why is he so low in the ranking, you may ask? Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you again, but this entry is not about Orochi Iori. The number 9 of this list is actually the normal version of our red-headed fire user. Even before his appearance in 97, we could already tell that there are many things weird with Iori. His fighting style is pretty unique, focused on slashing attacks using his fingers, despite not having actual claws. It gives him this dangerous bestial aura that is hard to ignore. It also doesn't help that he is a fire user and always seems ready to burn his enemies to ashes. But what makes Iori a borderline demented person is his attitude. For someone who doesn't like violence, he surely seems to enjoy inflicting pain quite a bit, as demonstrated by his mad, inexplicable laughter during his wind pose. And just what's going on with his sense of fashion? How can he possibly fight or even walk or run normally with his legs tied together with these weird straps? Orochi Iori and Leona acts definitely crazier, but I chose to not include them in this list because their craziness is a momentary state and is considered more of a curse than actual insanity. The original iconic boss of the series, Rogal is a recurrent guest in our top 10s, and for good reasons. Even though he has a lot of charisma, Rugal can be pretty weird and creepy sometimes. Nothing demonstrates this better than his stage in KOF 98. I talked about it in details in the WTF Moments video, but to surmise, nobody with a minimum of sanity in their head would take that stage as their lair. With its blood tap, the unsettling eye on the monitor, and the inexplicable headless body of Genitz, the stage is not the only proof of Rugal's questionable mental health. His hobby is one of the most disturbing as well. He has the habit of collecting his fallen opponents as trophies after he turns them into metal statues. When his Orochi powers activates, Rugal turns almost into a complete beast and even celebrates his wins by cutting himself in the chest with his metallic arm. If he loses, however, Rugal always goes out with a bang by triggering the self-destruct mechanism of the stage in an attempt to bring his enemies down with him. The result of scientific experiments by a shady organization will always have outlandish consequences on the body and mind of the test subject. Case in point, K49. In terms of personality, K49 is a loud and angry fella by default, someone who looks like he wants to pick fights with everybody. The rare moments when he is not yelling or cursing, he can be seen laughing, in a mad and hysterical way of course. You know that we're dealing with a deranged character when his attacks have names like "Get lost," "Shut up," "Quit playing," or "Get out of my sight." I find that he's superb. "Help, my power is running wild." Yes, that is its actual name, is enough to secure a place for K49 on this list. His arm turns into a giant, uncontrollable mass of meat and attacks the opponent from any distance. It's one of the strangest supers in the series, and for someone who never watched Akira and is unaware of the reference, this will definitely cause quite a shock. For those who were disturbed or grossed out by this super, rest assured, we're most likely never gonna see K49 again. It's really a shame though. There is something about weird, crazy female characters in fighting games that makes them more popular than others. In KOF, this stereotype is assumed by everyone's cinnamon roll, Vice. I already talked about her in the WTF Moments video, more specifically her hidden desperate move in 2002 where she literally eats her enemy. But you should know that Vice was already considered a demented person way before she shows her cannibalistic tendencies, and I'm not talking about her rude and violent attitude. That's pretty normal stuff, especially for a Hakishu member. The first red flag of her questionable mental state is the weird howling she makes before each fight. She gives the impression of being a wolf, ready of making an onslaught upon her prey. I love her stance in 98, my personal favorite. It's so foreboding and unsettling, it doesn't even look like a fighting stance. Vice just looks like she is about to commit a massacre. Too bad they changed it. Of course, we can't ignore her maniacal laugh during her super. He commentates with these lunatics. The first time I saw this guy, I was genuinely wondering if he was even human. I learned later that he is an addition from another SNK fighting game, Kizuna Encounter. Jiazu is one of the many mid-bosses of KOF 11. You'd have a hard time telling that he is a ninja, taking into consideration his weird and unique design. The golden crow mask that he always wears is already a big hint of his wicked malevolent nature. But that's not all. It also shows that Jiazu has some kind of affinity with crows, as he can turn into one during his wind poses and transform into a strange half-man half-crow creature before the fight begins. He also doesn't talk much, unless you consider the creepy humming at the start of a round as talking. Jiazu uses a very aggressive fighting style with a lot of special moves. It makes sense for him to be overpowered, since he is the true final boss of Kizuna Encounter after all, and we all know what final bosses are capable of in that series. And with another KOF 11's exclusive. This time is the final boss of the game in person, freaking Magaki. By this point, this charming person doesn't need an introduction. Every KOF fan have heard about him, even those who never played 11. Magaki is hands down the creepiest looking boss in the series. Abandoning his human form, he shows his true colors, literally. He has a weird pink skin, abnormal long arms, pointy ears, and big alien eyes. The most repulsive thing about this abomination is his constant twitching. It makes it hard to look at. His design is not the weirdest thing about him. His powers are also pretty strange. Magaki can create portals to other dimensions that he uses to move around or teleport his many projectiles. But the most bizarre aspect about Magaki is the fact that he turned KOF from a fighting game to a bullet hell. My first impression of Sylvie wasn't very positive, to put it mildly. Just what the heck am I looking at, I thought. But as time passed, she grew on me, especially when I learned her backstory. Sylvie is another victim of nests. She was subjected to their inhumane experiments. In other words, a lot of torture and suffering that ultimately had severe consequences on her mental health. The worst part was, she was considered a failure at the end, and was probably destined to be disposed of if Nest wasn't destroyed at the end of 2001. Later on, Sylvie was found by Antonov, who invited her to join his team in 14. The most striking aspect about Sylvie is of course her eccentric design. Her sense of fashion is simply out of control. Is she trying to include every color in the universe or what? And what's the deal with those giant eyes? She considers her clothes as her friends, in addition of the imaginary one living in her head. Her overall attitude is very weird and goofy, but can look intimidating when executing her climax super. Sylvie is forever scarred by her past trauma and still scared to death from Nest operatives, as seen with her interaction with Angel. However, she seems very open to Kula. By far, she is the most sympathetic crazy character in this list. Despite her tragic past, she still holds a lot of innocence within her and doesn't seem to bear any ill intention. Certainly the most famous crazy bastard in the series, Yamazaki was already a super charismatic character in Fatal Fury and somehow became even more relevant and likable in KOF. Like Sylvie, we know the reasons behind Yamazaki's madness. When he was a young, innocent Yakuza, he was forced to watch as his mentor and father figure getting brutally tortured to death. That experience broke Yamazaki's mind beyond repair, but it's not certain if his cruel and sadistic nature is a result of that. He might have been this way all along. Despite his condition, or maybe because of it, he gained a lot of success in the criminal world and became to be known as the Dark Broker. Yamazaki also has another respectable social status. He's one of the Hakishus, the only surviving member in fact, not taking into consideration the recent resurrection of Yashiro and his team. But Yamazaki doesn't want to do anything with that group, he only works for his own interests. Good for him. Yamazaki's insanity is so severe that even the fearsome Orochi lost his power over him and could no longer submit him to his will. This is how you become a badass without even trying. Honestly, I had no problem choosing the number 1 entry for this list. This character is the ultimate combination of extreme weirdness and hopeless madness. Xanadu from KOF 14. I am aware that many KOF fans haven't played the latest installments and therefore may not even know who Xanadu is. Here's how he looks like. If his design is not enough for you to consider him the most bonkers person in KOF, then you should definitely listen to his wise talk. Xanadu is interested only in deep philosophical subjects that common people simply cannot fathom. In truth, it's just a load of nonsense crap coming out from a madman. Most KOF characters try to avoid him because of the potential headaches they could get from listening to him. When he fights, he treats his opponents as kids with the use of some humiliating attacks. Shout out to his climax super, one of the strangest supers I ever saw, where he seems like he received some kind of divine revelation. Why didn't I put this in the WTF Moments video? I forgot to mention that he is a dangerous convicted criminal and all prisoners fear and respect him, most notably KOF veterans Chang and Choi. Xanadu somehow managed to undo years of Kim's hard work with their rehabilitation just like that. And their team's ending, he burns the prize money they won in front of them because the universe and potatoes. At least Yamazaki still knows the value of money. He may look intimidating, but this guy is just a lost cause. I can't think of anyone weirder and madder than him, and that's why Xanadu is the top craziest and weirdest character in KOF. So, which one of these charming people you would love to find yourself stuck with in a room? Share your answer with us in the comments. Special thanks to my generous patrons for their support. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and why not consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching.